Hello and welcome to Conkers Corner. Today I'm speaking with Professor Dana Brown of Leicester Business School. I'll be conducting an interview with her today in collaboration with Niche Magazine and Cross Productions.
Great. And hello, I'm Professor Dana Brown. I'm the Pro-Vice Chancellor for Enterprise at De Montfort University and Principal of the Leicester Business School. Nice to be here.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you for taking this interview with us,
Pleasure.
Professor Dana Brown. I wanted to start really because you were the founding principal of the Leicester Business School. Yep. and you arrived in March 2016.
That's right.
So I wanted to speak to you first about the journey that you had prior to that and why you chose Leicester De Montfort University and Business School prior to anywhere else that you could have gone to.
Great. No, thank you very much for that question. So I suppose, my career has really been a mix of business and academia. So from very early on, even when I was a young girl, pre-teenager, I was very interested in launching businesses and new enterprises and worked for a long time. And as a teenager, I had the privilege of even working for the former CEO of the Woolworth Corporation, who was launching a new business in my hometown. And from him, I gained a real passion for business and enterprise. I then went off to university and won a Rhodes Scholar to go on and study for a master's degree in politics. After that, returned to business, worked for Amazon.com for a few years as one of their first employees when they were a startup. Again, that passion for new businesses. And soon after decided to return to academia. I did my PhD in political economy with an interest in business and business landscapes. And so that combination led me into the world of business schools and teaching the subject of how you think about markets in a kind of broader perspective from the political and economic angle. So I worked at business schools for about 15 years before I came here to Leicester Business School. Most of my career was spent at Oxford University Saïd Business School.
Yes.
And that was also a new business school when I arrived. So a lot of my work there was about setting that up and founding what was a business school in the 21st century going to look like. And the opportunity came up to come to Leicester, to De Montfort University. I found De Montfort University to be a very enticing place to take the next step in my career. There was an opportunity to be really innovative and think about setting up the business school for the 21st century that I thought we needed to have in this world. And so that's why I came here, and I've not had any regrets since.
No, it's been an absolute phenomenal sort of success since you arrived. And I was speaking to one of your colleagues earlier. Yeah. You actually went about, making the actual building what it is today in the sense of the refurb and all the work and the architecture and all the rest of it. So you've actually put your stamp on the actual building as well as the academia side.
Yes, that's right. And I mean, because place is important, and where you study and the environment in which you study says something about who you are as a school.
Yes, yeah.
And what I liked about the castle was that, business is often thought of as being, very modern, very transactional, but in fact, business shapes history in a big way. And, if you think about where are we sitting here in Leicester, this was the heart of the Industrial Revolution, and this castle was at the center of it. Isn't that an exciting place to be? Yeah.
Yeah. So the mantra is beyond business as usual.
That's right.
Could you expand for those that are listening what that means for you and Leicester Business School, please?
Yes, absolutely. So as I said, I was really interested to set up a business school that met the needs of the 21st century and that broke away from some of the traditional ways of thinking about business and business practice. So to me, beyond business as usual means a number of things. I mean, first of all, it means thinking about business and its purpose in a bigger and broader way, and training the future generation of leaders to think that way as well. So traditionally, business schools taught how to exploit assets for profitability.
Of course.
Look at the world we live in today. As a result, right? We have environmental damage, we still have continued poverty and problems in the world that we need to solve, yet business has the power and the resources to solve those problems. So if we can train the next generation of leaders to think differently about business, to look at it from a different angle, I would hope we could have some impact on the world in a very different way. So that's the beyond business as
Yes.
usual. And it's quite a significant leap, because all of the materials that are written for business schools, all of the case studies are about bottom line profit. There's been a gradual shift, of course. Many business schools might be doing a few courses in ethics, a few courses in sustainability, but to say, actually, this is our mantra, this is the way we teach business from this critical perspective, 100% through our curriculum, which is where we're aiming towards,
Yes.
is the beyond. And beyond business as usual also encapsulates the personal approach that I wanted to take to working with our students, which is to help them to reach their full potential. Our students come from a wide range of backgrounds. They come from different places in the world, different socioeconomic backgrounds, experiences, and we want to help them succeed on their own terms.
Yes.
Because the world needs people who think differently, who have had experiences that are outside of the norm.
Yes.
And so we work very much with our students to help them realize their potential through that personal approach.
I was going to touch on that because for De Montfort University, 2,700 students a year, international students
Yes.
from 130 countries. I was going to ask, because obviously there's a big question, is how do you accommodate all those varying needs, and how do you support them throughout their academic time at Leicester Castle Business School?
Yeah, I mean, it's important that we do support international students, because they're a really important part of our environment. I mean, we learn from one another, and it's important that we create an environment in which that exchange can occur. They are not only here to learn about England, we are here
Yes.
to learn from them and to have a dialogue. They really enrich the whole student experience to have the international students. So I see it as a key part of who we are and what we do and the type of people we're trying to develop for the future.
And also with doing that, you have an international range of staff as well. I noticed that with what I was looking at, in the sense of you've got staff from all over the world, academically and from their profiles. I wonder if you could expand on that and share that with us.
Yes, absolutely, and we do. We have staff, coming from all the key regions in the world. We have staff coming from the African countries. We have staff coming from China, staff coming from India. And again, they bring a different perspective. They bring different networks to the table and linkages that our students can benefit from. We often have guest speakers, business people coming from all over the world as a result of that network that our academics bring. This contributes to the environment in which we are studying. It is not only a very diverse environment, an environment that's good for learning about global business, but it's also a very comfortable place to study, because this is a very accepting place. So no matter where you've come from or what your background is, you can come here and feel valued and part of our community. And I think that's important.
It's very important. Thank you for that reply. Over the years, De Montfort and Leicester Castle Business School have refined their postgraduate offerings, and now you're looking at what's happened over the last few years, and it's been highly successful. What aspects of that do you think has enabled Leicester to surpass some of the other universities that previously it was, competing with?
Yeah. Well, I think, first and foremost, it's important that De Montfort University is an organization that is willing to be innovative.
Yes.
And that's, differentiates us from the start from many universities, where the practices, no matter how much you might talk about innovation, are really embedded in the institution. This is the way we teach, this is our student body, this is the way we do research. Whereas DMU is willing to be really responsive to our students and responsive to what's changing in the world for the businesses and organizations that we work with. So this is an important part of the innovation. Now the postgraduate courses, I think, have been successful largely because we've built into them a lot of experiential learning. Which is something I'm very passionate about. I truly believe that students absorb more knowledge, gain more personally and professionally from hands-on learning than they do from sitting in a hot classroom receiving knowledge being pushed at them. There's a time and place for that. But we've built in quite a lot of this experiential aspect. At the university level, we support a global program that allows us to take our students almost anywhere in the world, to bring them into organizations or give them some practical experience, and that's built into the curriculum. It's not just a trip that occurs outside, it's part of achieving the learning objectives. We also send students out into the community, into community-based organizations, and say, we'll solve a business problem for this organization as part of your coursework. And we include in our postgraduate programs as well an opportunity for students to go out and work in local businesses, almost kind of on a consultancy type of basis. So there are all sorts of opportunities like that for the students, and I think that really, you know, it brings out the best in the students, as long as you're with them on that journey and you're helping them to achieve everything that they can achieve in those opportunities. It seems to me to work really well for them.
One of the examples I found was the DMU Global example when you went to the New York Stock Exchange, and I was like, wow, you know, you've taken the kids from, or the young people from the Leicester UK, and you've gone, you know what, this is an opportunity for you to go. Could you share some about that and what happened on that? I think was it 7 days, 10 days?
Yes, 7 days. Yes, that's right. Well, we've taken a number of trips to New York. We've taken 1,000 students last year, and in fact, I've just returned a few days ago from taking another 350 students. Many of whom did some of the finance trips. Others visited local factories. Others did some volunteering, and we all ended up in the United Nations. Talking about our support for the Sustainable Development Goals in the United Nations. So these trips are really designed to stretch our students, to make them look at the world in a different way, to take them out of their comfortable context and say, well, actually, you know, you've learned all of this about your subject area. How can you apply this in a different context? What does it look like? You know, what can you achieve? And it gives them, you know, not only a different perspective, but I think a real sense of empowerment and a feeling of what they can achieve, and, you know, changes their aspirations. And I can say, you know, I've walked down Wall Street with a number of those finance students, and, you know, even the walk down Wall Street, they are changing their perspective. Things are changing in them.
I can do this. I could be here one day.
I could be here. It's transformational, and it's the reason we go into education to begin with, is to see that in students. So, so you're instilling and reiterating, this is beyond business as usual, this is beyond academia as usual. That's right.
You could be here, you can reach this potential.
That's absolutely right.
So you currently offer a Vice Chancellor's 2020 scholarship, which I found quite intriguing. Do you want to explain to us what that means and what could happen in the sense of somebody finding themselves and able to do that?
Yes, so we offer a number of scholarship options actually, and so the Vice Chancellor 2020 scholarship is amazing because that's for graduates of De Montfort University who can come on and do their postgraduate studies for up to 50% off the normal fee rate. And, you know, a number of students, you know, take that opportunity. They might go out and work for a year or two and then come back, or they might come straight from their undergraduate into our postgraduate courses. We also have principal scholarships. We have scholarships from students from different countries, academic scholarships and sports scholarships in the university as well.
Because you recently had a relation, I think it was working with the Leicester City Football Club. There's another one. So obviously lots of the men and the women that are on the course was like, yay, we've got a relationship with them now to be able to enhance their courses for that.
Yes.
So how did that come about? Because you've had a little relationship with them for a little while, haven't you, with Leicester City Football?
That's right. The university has had a relationship with them for many years, even before they were the Premier League championships. We've been there supporting them all along. And that partnership has proven to be really valuable to us, because of course, you know, it's very exciting for our students to be able to get some insight into not only the practice of football, but for my students, it's the business of sport. That's quite exciting. So we do a number of internships for our students. We do visits over to the club, professional development types of workshops with people in the club, and it's just been absolutely amazing. The scholarships are part of a partnership that we have with King Power, who are the owners of the club. And that scholarship has allowed us to bring a number of students over from Thailand to study with us, and they have been absolutely fantastic addition to our students.
Obviously, Leicester and De Montfort University have been around for a little while in the sense of the network and the businesses that they've incorporated for all the varying placements for the vast number of students. Could you give some examples of some of those employers within the Leicester De Montfort, Leicester Castle Business School's network, please, of placements?
Well, we have a lot of those businesses are local businesses.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of local law firms, local accountancy firms, some new businesses, marketing companies who've employed our students. The Leicester City Council has some of our students. And then, we've also been able to gain some placements outside of the Leicester area. So East Midlands Airport, for example, is working with one of our students. And there's another organization in London that's working with our students. So, and we're trying to grow that network. But there's real power and potential in working with the local business community, because that's also really a key part of our mission as a business school, is to engage with that community. And the more that we have the opportunity for our students to go into organizations and for us to get the feedback from those organizations, the more that we can work to support them in terms of giving the students the right skills that they need and the right opportunities to gain work experience with them.
Thank you. Leicester Castle Business School has partnered with the headline sponsors for the Leicester Business Festival until 2020, and that's again building the platform and the foundations you've got with the local network. Could you just expand and tell us why Leicester Business Festival and what it's enabled Leicester Castle Business School to have done over the years, and your continuation of the sponsorship of that?
Yeah, thank you. No, it's actually proven to be quite a positive partnership, I think, for both parties. When I first arrived to Leicester for my interview, I arrived in the train station and I saw a sign for this Leicester Business Festival, and it was sponsored by, there happens to be another university in this town, and it was sponsored by them, but I thought, what is that Leicester Business Festival? I want to find out more. And it turns out, it's quite an interesting and large-scale endeavor to really showcase the businesses and business opportunities that we have in Leicester. We have more than 10,000 people participate in the Leicester Business Festival, and they're all passionate about innovation and new business opportunities. So how perfect for a new business school to partner with this business festival to get our name out there, but also just to meet the local business community. So for me, the partnership, I was new to Leicester as well, coming into that gave me an opportunity to really get out there and engage with the local business community. And we've ended up as a university doing quite a lot of projects as a result of the Leicester Business Festival.
And throughout the time of the festival, you've got the students participating in and part of that festival, as well as the academic staff as well, haven't you?
That's right.
And what do the students get to do during that time?
Well, sometimes they're showcasing their work and their projects. And sometimes what I like students to do is to learn how to network.
Yes, that's
so
very
that's
important.
part of the lessons of life,
Absolutely.
right? How do you go out there and introduce yourself to someone and make an impression on them within a few minutes? So that was part of the opportunity that we gave to our students.
Excellent. Well, that slides straight into the next question I've got for you. Why is it essential for employers to invest in their employees for continual learning? Because that's part of the festival, isn't it? Continual learning for employees as well as students. Sure,
absolutely. Well, I think the short answer to that is that the world is changing very, very quickly. The landscape in which businesses are operating is changing very quickly. New technologies coming into play, new political factors that will change the nature of the markets with which we engage in the future. So, businesses always have to be at the top of their game in any area, and it's easy for a business that's going along being successful to say, well, I'm doing just fine right now. But really good businesses always invest in the future, and they always have an eye into what's coming up next. You think about very simple factors such as artificial intelligence, and where's that going to play into the skills base and the types of jobs that we have in the future. How prepared are businesses for that? How can we help them prepare their workforce to engage with artificial intelligence, or think in the future about the strategies that they might adapt given new technological opportunities? Those are the types of things that we want to prepare people for in businesses. And I think it's important that businesses engage with a business school to develop their skills in that area. Our researchers and our academic staff are people who are doing on the cutting edge of new innovations. They're working closely with organizations all over the world, and to transfer that knowledge to the local business community, I think, is very powerful potential.
It clearly seems to be working, because Leicester and Leicestershire is now one of the fastest growing regions within the UK. It's exceeding other regions that are far wealthier and far larger. So something's going definitely right. I wanted to ask you, with Leicester Castle Business School, business exceeding those larger regions, can you please share with me what you think is why that's become the case? You touched on it there in the sense of feeding into the community, feeding into the businesses, but what's the rub there? The advantages that we've got from manufacturing now, we're exceeding other businesses.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Leicester is a really special place, and I think it's a special place for everything that it brings from the past, the tradition of the manufacturing, the textile industry, the connections there, and also the amazing diversity. And the other thing I've learned about Leicester are, if you look at, the number of new businesses that have been started by the immigrant community, the number of entrepreneurs that we have in the city, small, medium-sized businesses. This is an innovative place, a hub of innovation. And innovation and small, medium-sized enterprises, they are the future of this country. As is, small-scale manufacturing for local businesses, cutting down those supply chains, thinking about more sustainable ways of doing business. Leicester is just ideally placed, I think, to grow as an economy. The future economy, I don't think, is going to be about, large-scale auto manufacturing. That's not going to define a city anymore.
No.
It's going to be that flexibility, that enterprising nature, the ability to integrate communities as well. We have refugees coming into the community, new immigrants coming into the community, and they know they can come to Leicester and be successful. And that is very, very special and very different from other cities. So those, I think, that's kind of the recipe, I think, for success, particularly as we enter into what is potentially a post-Brexit environment.
I was going to ask you a question about Brexit later on, in the sense of preparing the students for the global world of business and the fact that that might be changing in the sense of demographically, they're still essentially a part of Europe, but not within the EU. And if you could just touch on how is Leicester Castle Business School preparing some students for that new world of work going forward?
Well, I mean, we're doing quite a lot we're challenging students a lot on what that world is going to look like, and we're trying to help them understand. There are two parts of Brexit, really. There's probably quite a significant period of transition. And what we find when we talk to businesses is that that's the period they're most worried about, not as worried about the 5 to 10 years from now, but that period of regulations changing and supply chains changing and how they're going to cope with that organizationally. So, we look at some of those issues in detail with our students, but we're also, preparing our students to be global citizens, and global in the broadest sense of the word, right? So to be really looking beyond Europe for opportunities. And then, there's another aspect of what we're looking at, and that's, looking at how do you make a local economy thrive, right, with its global connections. So, often you talk about globalization and global business, and you're talking about producing something over here so that you can sell it for more money over here. That's all the exploitation stuff I was talking about. And what we're trying to say is, let's think a little bit differently about how these global opportunities can work to create more inclusive, dynamic, local economies, because economies fundamentally are local, and they're not successful if the vast majority of people living within them are not included and benefiting from them. So that's a kind of area that we work on all over the world, and then try to apply to the local community as well.
Yeah, because I noticed that you recently employed a lady by the name of Helen Donnelland, and she's now a Director of Business Engagement for De Montfort University and Leicester Castle Business School. That's right. So I wanted to know how that's going to expand the reach for not only for the Leicester Castle Business School, but for the students, in the sense of being able to engage with the businesses and businesses engaging with the students. Yeah,
I mean, that's definitely the purpose of that.
Yeah.
That role really reflects the priority that De Montfort University places on being alongside the city in its development and growth trajectory for the foreseeable future. So we want to be the city's partner in its future growth. And we do work very closely and successfully with the city, from government to the NGO community to local businesses, and that's key to us. So Helen's appointment really reflects how much we want to invest in those relationships.
So Leicester Castle Business is thriving. Yeah, a lot of that's down to you and your team that you've done and the work that you've done so far, and you're innovating in the sense of looking forward, and the trajectory is that way. I've looked at some of the stats regarding some of the students that have been highly successful. They've been guaranteed jobs before they've even finished their academia, which is fantastic. So I wanted to ask, which aspects of future academia really excites Professor Dana Brown right now, and how that is going to impact on Leicester Castle Business School and what it offers its students going forward?
That's a tough question. Lots of things excite me. But I think actually, you know, on the theme of what we've been just discussing, one of the issues that I am really thinking about now is how do we regenerate a local economy in this new economic environment that we're living in. And you know, Leicester seems to me to be the ideal place to be based and almost experimenting and seeing, you know, what's going to happen here in Leicester. What does the new city of the future look like? What does a city that is sustainable, livable, inclusive and dynamic really look like? And how can a university effectively partner with the city to make that happen and create that kind of local context? And that's an academic question. And it's a question that, you know, we are looking at from a variety of different disciplinary angles, not only from the business side, but also from the side of urban planning, from the side of sustainable environmental policies, and from governance. And it's a big set of academic questions that I want to tackle. And I really do want my students to be engaged in addressing those questions as well. Because if we are partnering with the city to create a better future, we will have our students out there finding the solutions, because they are the smartest asset we have.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I wanted to ask this question really with regards to the works that's being done at Leicester Castle Business School. There are now lots of businesses out there that are going to be watching this. If you're saying to them, why should you partner with the Leicester Castle Business School and come and speak with Dana Brown as to engaging with Leicester Castle Business School and the students, what would you be saying to them?
Well, I mean, I think, you know, we have here at Leicester Castle Business School and De Montfort University quite a range of expertise. It's a key part of our strategy and mission to engage with businesses, to help the local business community thrive. So we are very much an open door to you know, finding ways that we can work with the local business community to help them succeed. That's part of our mission. And you know, we bring a lot to the table. We bring international perspective, we bring a wealth of experience. I mean, I myself have been teaching in executive education for 15 years. I've worked with a lot of big companies in the past, and many members of my staff as well. So we have a lot of insight as to what works in businesses, where businesses are going, and a lot of perspective on, you know, where the economy is going in general. And so, you know, we'd love to engage with businesses. And, you know, we really are grateful when businesses engage with us as well, because it gives our students an opportunity to see how things are done, opportunities to have that real world training that I talked about earlier.
You just touched on the real world experience. You've brought in EdTech in the sense of the technology base and streaming of information, so people can be live experiences with working within the city sort of framework as well. Do you want to share some of that tech that you've brought in and added to the culture of the learning, so it's not just textbooks and sitting in front of your book all day, it's having that live experience all the time as well?
That's right. No, I mean, we use technology in a variety of ways. So, you know, sometimes we'll have our students, for example, work on a project where they're working with students who are situated in different countries, at different universities. And that's the way the real world works very often.
Absolutely.
Is that you're working in an organization, your colleagues are not sitting next to you. In fact, they are halfway around the world. And how do you create then a sense of camaraderie and teamwork and get a project done in a short time? So that's one way we use technology. You know, we also use technology in different ways to do simulations for our students and to you know, allow them to look at materials and engage with materials so that when they come to class, they're really ready to discuss, engage, debate, and technology is great for that. We call it flipping the classroom, where the classroom isn't about giving you the information, the classroom is about challenging you on the information. So I think technology offers a wealth of really exciting opportunities for us to engage with different types of students.
Excellent. I've got one remaining question for you, and I just wanted to ask you, what do you envision as the future of Leicester Castle Business School? What would you ideally like to see, you know, if you've got a 3-year or 5-year plan, where would you want it to be, and what would you be doing differently?
Well, I think we'll continue on the same trajectory. I mean, we still have a long way to go. I mean, I talked about those ambitions of being that business school that is teaching business differently. One of the things we were discussing last week was how could we use the Sustainable Development Goals and really embed them across our curriculum as a means of teaching business in this way, business with a purpose. So I'd like to see us achieving that, to be able to say that our curriculum is 100% unique and customized to us. I'd like to see us recognized for our interdisciplinary approach to business, for our experiential approach to business. And quite frankly, I would really like us to see ranked in the world's leading business schools. And I think we will get there, and I think we'll get there in our own way and not the way it's been done before.
I think you probably will get there. And I think given the work that you've done already in the short space of time you've been here since March 2016, I think that's going to be happening very, very soon.
Thank you.
I've completed my interview. Thank you ever so much, Professor.
Thank you. It's really
Dana Brown.
enjoyable.
It's been brilliant.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was my interview with Professor Dana Brown of Leicester Castle Business School. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll hopefully catch up with Professor Brown at another stage in the future when we can speak to them, all of the team at Leicester Castle Business School. Thank you and goodbye.